كتاب الله لا شيء سوى يهذبنا العمل به كتاب الله لا شيء سوى يهذبنا هذا القرآن يوحدنا لطريق الخير يوجهنا الله تعالى أنزله ورسول الله معلمنا رسول الله معلمنا.
How does he choose between the competing bits of nonsense? In other words, I can tell you something that doesn't make sense, and he can tell you something else that doesn't make sense. And they're different. How do you choose which one? What standards do you use to judge between brands of nonsense? You see, the only thing you can judge between is sense. You can discern the sense from the nonsense. But there's no standard by which to say that is more silly than that, I guess, or so I'll choose the more silly or whatever. There's no systematic way of reviewing it. If something is absurd, it makes no kind of sense. How do you give it a value? It's also a realistic fact, I mean, what people should face is that the human mind can't rest on uncertainty anyway. That is, if somebody has been faced with an impossibility, if he makes as an excuse, well, how can I decide anyway? I can't figure things out. Your mind won't let you stop there. The human mind can't stop on a place that is unbalanced. It has to roll one direction or the other. It has to go someplace. You can't say, I don't know, and stop. Your mind won't let you do that. It has to seek rest someplace, comfort. Otherwise, it's disturbed. So where do people stop? Well, some people, interestingly enough, they stop on uncertainty as a principle. They say, I can't be sure of these things. In fact, I know that for sure. That I'm never going to be sure of anything. And he stops there. He makes uncertainty the one thing he's sure of, which of course is a dead end. Your mind is still not going to rest. Your mind is still going to be causing you trouble. There's a famous American evangelist who said that when he was a young man and starting out his preaching career, every time he thought about Trinity, his head hurt, he said, around the back. And the pain would get so intense that he couldn't stand up. So one night he was sitting at a campfire, a group of people on a picnic, and he got up and he went into the woods. He got down on his knees. He promised God, I'll never think about Trinity again. He said the headache went away. Never thought about it again, never worried about it. Well, something has been disconnected. You can do that. You can stop and then disconnect the alarm system that tells you, no, you should still be worried. But what have you done to the mind then? Just as you could go to an elaborate computer system and go around the back and pull one little wire out, maybe. The thing will still work most of the time. But every once in a while it will throw out some garbage to you. Because when it has to pass through the circuit you disconnected, garbage comes out. Garbage in, garbage out, I guess is the saying. They say it. You can do the same thing with your brain. You can disconnect one circuit, the alarm that tells you when something doesn't make sense. And you get through life, but from time to time, you won't process information properly and you'll say something foolish. Some examples of that in a moment or so. Or, if people are uncertain, if they don't stop on a principle of uncertainty itself, where else can they stop? Sometimes they stop on their feelings. They tell you, all right, I don't have proof about the things I claim, but I feel they're true. They stop on their feelings. Now, to this, a Muslim wants to remind a man, are you trusting what you feel is the case? Mankind? You who, when you were a child, were afraid of the dark? You who, as an adult, maybe, will scream at the sight of a spider when you know it can't hurt you? And so on. To remind a man that just how safe a guide is your feelings. You used to be afraid of the dark for no reason. You may still be afraid of some things for no reason. That same faculty, you're going to trust that to deliver the truth to you? How do you know this certainty is any more sensible, any more true than the fact that an insignificant little spider that you could reach out and swat, you run from it. Well, some people do. They're terrified of it. It doesn't make sense, but look at the influence it has on you. Are you going to use that same faculty to judge truth? Because the Muslim, on the other hand, is trying to point out that he is looking for truth. The Muslim says, I am looking for truth, and I know what it is when I find it. How do you recognize it when you find it? You see, the Muslim has a list of standards. He says truth has to fit facts, for example. It has to be coherent. It can't conflict with itself. He has standards like that. So when he meets something that fits the facts and makes perfect sense, that he can verify, he recognizes, oh, this is truth. If a person doesn't use that standard, if he said, no, the brain is dangerous, it'll lead me astray, how does he know truth when he finds it? By what standard? How does he tell you, I know this is true and that's false, because? Why? He feels it. As I say, the Muslim is examining the facts of things, and in uncovering the facts, facts are our friends. They are our ally. History is our ally. It's not our opponent. Whereas, when people have decided on something that makes no sense, the facts cause them problems. There's a thing you'll see in some offices, in the U.S. especially, it caught on like a fad. It's a little card, or they'll print it up like frame it about that big. People hang it in their offices. It's a famous saying now, which says, my mind is made up, don't confuse me with the facts. That's a way of life for some people. They decided, and now they tell you, but any facts you bring me, those only cause trouble. They'll just confuse me. I made up my mind, don't bring me the facts. It's supposed to work the other way. When you have seen the facts, you make up your mind. It's supposed to be how the process works. Facts are not supposed to cause you trouble. As I say, history is our ally. That's another subject, but primarily, I suppose, the example the Muslim is faced with all the time is on, that is, in places where the missionary activity is crowding the Muslim, or where the Muslim finds himself in an environment where the church singles him out as a target, as Muslim students abroad. The main issue concerns Jesus and who was he. History is our friend. Their own sources are our friends. The Quran says, unless they stand fast by the Torah and the Injil, they have nothing. That's our friend. That's not our opponent. The history they read in their own books will point out to them that claiming equality with God was what people said Jesus did. It was not something he ever endorsed. Even as the Bible tells the story, when the Jews became angry with him and he asked, why are you angry with me? They said, you claimed equality with God. He did not say, you're right, that's what I did, I'm sorry it makes you angry. He didn't do that. In fact, as it's reported, he tried to tell them, well, you didn't hear what I said then, and corrected them by showing them what he said was perfectly harmless. He tricked them, he riddled with them. Imagine this, if you can. A friend of mine has it on tape. His Yugoslavian brother lives in Toronto. He's always videotaping religious programs because I don't know if he has in his mind, maybe on the Judgment Day someone's going to ask him for the videotapes. So he has proof these men said what these things. And he has on one of his videotapes one of the men who was a Bible translator. He translated the New King James Version. A lot of publicity about this the last few years. He was interviewed on a television program, and they asked him about was it hard work and so on and so forth. And he, if you can believe your ears, his statement was that when they were doing the translation, he said, and I quote, we had to sacrifice accuracy for the sake of understanding. Do we teach any subject like that? We'll be a little less accurate, they will understand it better.